Welcome to Raw. I'm Alex.
And I'm Matt, and we're on safari on the African Experience at the Howletts and Port Lympne Wild Animal Parks. Behind us over there is a herd of 16 wildebeest. In the wild in Africa, during their annual migrations, their herds reach up to 1 million strong.
And amazingly, the babies can run at full speed within 10 minutes of being born so that they can keep up with the rest of the herd.
And there are many more wonderful animals here, and we'll be catching up with them and their keepers that look after them. Here's what's coming up on today's programme.
I'm going to find out why this Siberian lynx goes mad for a smelly old boot. What a perfect Puss in Boots.
I'll be meeting a grand old lady who happens to have a thing for the boys.
And our first competition winner realises her lifelong dream to take care of the Ellies.
I'm just so looking forward to being close to an elephant for the first time.
Tigers are some of the largest and most ferocious animals in the world. In the wild, these powerful cats are top of the food chain. They're crack hunters who will kill and eat anything they can find and scoff as much as 18 kilos of meat at a time. I bet, given half a chance, they would eat most of the other animals in the park.
Oh, yeah?
One of the reasons they're so good at hunting is because of their skin. It's super stretchy to help them move easily, and it's striped for camouflage so they can creep up on their prey. Just like human fingerprints, tiger stripes are unique. No two have the same pattern. But even such strong animals can get life-threatening diseases. And today, keeper Ben Warren is worried about one of the Indian tigers called Scabby.
She's got quite a sizable lump on her back, some sort of growth, a little concerned, and not really sure what it is, but it's quite decent size, sort of size of a half tennis ball on her back.
Ben knows that any lump is a bad sign.
I mean, hope it's nothing serious. I mean, obviously, the worst is cancerous lump. We hope not. She's one of our favourite tigers. She's very sweet, and we'd rather nothing happen to her.
In the last 2 years, 2 tigers at the park have died from cancer. So Ben isn't taking any chances with Scabby. He's called in wildlife vet Sapine Hertzberg-Merzer to examine her right away. Hello, darling.
Hi, sweetheart.
Sit on her back. Hello, gorgeous. What are you doing?
She's eating fine, is she?
Yeah.
No problem.
No problem at all.
I mean, she's moving around, no problem. She doesn't have any pain in the back, that's by the look of it.
I mean, no, she's not acting any differently than she always has done. I mean, she comes up, she greets you, and...
Yeah. No, she looks very good otherwise. I'm very impressed.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like an abscess to me because it's moving a little bit.
So it's just under the skin, yeah.
Yeah.
Hoping for the best, Sabine has decided on a course of treatment. She thinks that Scabby might have cut herself in a fall or while play fighting. If so, she might be suffering from an infected cut, which has swollen, filled with pus, and turned into something like a very big spot. Yuck.
We'll give her now a course of antibiotics, about 5 days, and we'll constantly evaluate her, keep in touch with the keepers, and come and visit again.
The keepers have done everything they can. All they can do is wait to see if the medicine will work.
Obviously, you don't want anything to happen to her, so, I mean, we'll just put her antibiotics now, and hopefully it'll clear it up.
But how do you get a tiger to take its medicine? After 23 years of working with big cats, head of section Jim Vassy has learned a few tricks.
Like all animals, they don't like taking their medicine, so we have to hide it or disguise it as best we can. So by putting in bits of meat, small enough for her to swallow without chewing, in theory, she don't know the tablets are in there. And of course, like all good plans, they don't always go right. Scabs, come on. Scabs, Scabs, Scabs. Scabs, come on.
Scabby has known Jim all her life and would normally come straight over to him.
She's not a happy cat this morning.
It's time for Plan B.
I'm going to come down here and try putting her meat in through the shed. I mean, normally we put them in the shut-offs at the back here to because it's quiet and away from the public when the animals are ill, and I think she's just got a little bit agitated. Scabs! Normally she'll come straight up for it. Most tigers that come up for meat, whether it's spiked or not. Scabs, it's all right, it's all right. Come on.
Eventually, Scabby comes over.
Hey, Scabs. Oh, you my sweetheart. There's a good girl. There's one. There's one. There's two. Hey, there's a good girl. That one was a bit big, wasn't it, eh? All right, it's all right. It's all right.
But not for long. Scabby needs to take 7 tablets twice a day. Jim could be here for quite a while.
Scabs, come on, sweetheart.
Over the next 10 days, the keepers managed to feed Scabby all her tablets,
What a sweetheart, aren't you?
and the lump has started to shrink. That's the good news. The bad news is that they've discovered a second lump on her ribs.
I'm a bit concerned because she's not herself, and so I need to get the vet back in to check her over because there seems to be something more wrong with her than the antibiotics is coping with.
Scabby seems to be getting worse. If she's got cancer, she might not live to celebrate her 18th birthday. The keepers and Scabby will have to wait for the wildlife vet's next visit to find out.
Short of going on safari, you'd be hard-pressed to see a better range of animals from the African savannah than here at the park. They've got elephants, giraffes, lions, even wildebeest. I'm off to meet them right now. I'm up on the African experience with keeper Rob Gordon, and we've just heard some exciting news. 3 baby wildebeest have been born. So, Rob, what's the plan? We're going to feed them?
We're going to feed the wildebeest. Yeah, what we've got is some a bag of pellets here, which is a good sort of safety food for them. And we're going to put out a little bit on the grass in a strip like that, so they can all come and feed from it all at the same time.
Great. And we can just see the herd coming now. I think they've seen us. And look, there's a baby right at the front. How old are the babies, Rob?
Well, there's 3 babies as part of this group at the moment, and they range from about, the oldest about 3 or 4 weeks old now, and the youngest was born just a few days ago.
Wow. And is it a coincidence that they've all been born at around the same time?
No, it's not a coincidence. It's actually in the wild they've had a very, very tight calving time. All the calves will be born within a very, very short space of time. So in here, they've done it a little bit longer. There's been a few weeks in between. There's a few more to come still. So there you go.
Just scatter it around.
Yeah, if you take the bag and just
is it
pour a bit
literally
out.
just pour it
just pour a
along?
bit out.
Okay.
Just pour a strip out.
What's incredible, Rob, is that these babies are so young, and yet they're up and walking. They look, you know,
yeah,
pretty
they're
adult.
up and walking very, very quickly. Within a matter of minutes, they have to, because they are sort of a running animal. They need to herd with the rest of the group and make sure that they can keep up with all the adults when they go off on their feed.
Do we need to stand back a bit so that they come to the food?
Yeah, if we come back a little bit,
nervous?
they should hopefully come down to a little bit of food.
I can see one of the babies was suckling. How long will they suckle with the mum?
They'll suckle with the mum until they're quite old, and what they'll do is that they'll go through a weaning period of about 6 or 8 months old, where they'll start to drink less milk and eat more sort of grazing and grasses and things like that. And
they're a different colour to the adults as well. When will their coats become more like the adults?
that's right. That slowly changes as well. From the age of about 4 or 5 months, that you can see the darker coats start to grow in. They come with this sort of bluey grey colour, and they still keep some of the brown. You can see some of the last year's young, they've got quite big brown patches on their heads, so it does take quite a while.
What does that mean when they start sort of galloping around?
That's
like
just
that?
them playing around, having a bit of a tussle, sorting out who's boss and who's who.
Rob, it's amazing that the babies are so young and yet they're up on their feet straight away.
The babies they're up within minutes. They've got to run with the herd straight away. They need to be very, very strong. So that is their first priority, get them standing up, and then they get running with mum so that they're nice and safe, because that's where they're safest.
That's a survival thing for the wild.
That's right, yeah, because the herd would either move on, they would migrate as well. They'd be constantly moving to new grass, so they need to keep with their mother to keep with the milk.
Rob, why cabbages?
Well, these cabbages, although they're not exactly what they might eat in the wild, they're good greenery. In the wild, these guys will eat a lot of grasses, so this cabbage is still just good greenery for them.
Okay.
Hopefully they should
Are
like
we
quite a
just
bit.
going to throw it?
Yeah, just throw a few out like that. Just throw it. They may run away initially, but
they'll come back. Yeah.
Yeah,
Where are
hopefully that's
these
what it is.
wildebeest from in the wild?
Well, wildebeest come from very, very large areas in Africa, sort of central and eastern Africa.
Okay.
and every year they migrate from one good feeding ground to another, so they pass across hundreds and thousands of miles.
And those horns look quite dangerous. What are they for?
Yeah, well, those horns really are to sort of sort out the battles they have between them. They do fight with one another. You can see they sort out a few problems like that, so that's what they use those for. When they grow out straight, of course. You can see some of last year's calves there. The horns aren't quite as curved as the older ones, because the curve grows in as the animal gets a lot older.
OK. Well, we've got some more feeding to do, but stay with us because there's plenty more coming up on today's programme.
Where do bees go on holiday? Singapore. What kind of dog tell the time? A watchdog. How do cats buy things? From a catalogue.
Earlier in the summer, we gave you the chance to spend the day here at the parks working as a keeper. All you had to do was to tell us which elephant has the biggest ears. Was it the African or the Asian elephant? Hundreds of you sent in your answers and loads of you got it right. The answer was, of course, that the African elephant has the largest ears. But there could be only one winner, and that was 10-year-old Freya Palmer-Grayson from Sheffield. Here's how she got on. Picked from thousands of entries, Freya was the lucky winner of our competition and was pretty excited when her mum delivered the news.
I was in the bath and she sort of screamed it at me, so it was rather scary.
Freya's got her work cut out for her today. She's got to look after 13 of these.
Oh, I'm just excited. It's like weird because I've never really done anything like this.
African elephants are massive. In fact, they're the biggest animals that walk the face of the earth. So the keepers are always keen to have a helping hand. Liz has been looking after them for 3 years and will be showing Freya the ropes today.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello, you must be Freya.
Yes.
Pleased to meet you. How are you feeling this morning?
Excited.
Very excited to come to see our elephants?
Yes.
Fantastic. They're actually still in bed at the moment. So what we're going to go and do now is we're going to go out to the paddocks and clean up all their mess that they made last night.
Okay.
OK, does that sound good?
Yeah.
Let's go then.
The elephants produce over 2,000 kilos of poo every day, and it is the keeper's job to pick it all up. Freya may be small, but she's going to have to pull her weight.
This is elephant poo. This is the biggest poo in the park. So we've got the heavy job now of picking all of this up. Oh, that's a big one. There we go. You got it, that's it. Hey, excellent. That's brilliant, well done.
If Freya wants to be a keeper, she not only needs to know a lot about her animals, but also their poo.
They can't digest all the food that they eat. So some of their food comes out in their poo. So you see there's an apple. And sometimes what they do is they come along and they eat the apple out of the poo. Sort of recycle it.
That's not nice.
But you're not a real keeper until you've got covered in it.
Oh, look, there we go.
I've just tipped it actually all down me.
Has it gone down your top?
Yeah.
Oh, dear. You're a proper elephant keeper now.
I stink now.
All the poo is cleared up, but there are 13 elephants who are still in their enclosure and want their breakfast.
3 up.
Preparing breakfast is heavy work, however, as these Ellies have an elephant-sized appetite.
So all of this is just their breakfast, you see. It's quite a lot there, isn't it?
That's probably how much I eat in a year.
Get a little bit of feed on there. Whatever you can, that's fine.
Now it's just the small matter of dishing up.
Excellent.
Freya's wait is nearly over. It's time to let the elephants out.
God, I'm just so looking forward to being close to an elephant, probably, yeah, for the first time. It's so exciting.
Ready when you are, Dave.
Oh my God! Oh. Whoa, it's so huge. Look at, oh, there's a really tiny baby one.
All out and clear.
I'm eating my food.
Nothing is off limits for Freya today, so she has got a once-in-a-lifetime chance to go behind the scenes and actually meet the elephants.
We've got to be very careful around here because obviously if they come up to the fence they've got very long trunks so they can reach quite a long way.
Oh, this is amazing.
Can you see how far he can reach his trunk out?
Yeah.
Yeah. And can you see the end of his trunk, the fingers? And he's using those to actually rip the grass.
So, Freya has met Jums, who is the biggest elephant. Now it's time to meet the smallest.
This is Jara. Sit. Give her a little pat. Hey, I want to pat her belly. That's it.
Because
You see,
is
she's
that
got-
the mud?
No, she's got
Is
very
that
fine
mud?
hairs on
I
her.
thought it was mud. Oh,
You see there?
that felt weird actually. How old is she?
She's just turned 1.
Oh my god. A 1-year-old who's bigger than me. Do you come around here quite often?
I like to come in here quite often to say hello to them. It's really important for us keepers to obviously watch them
Yeah.
and see if they're healthy and that they're okay. Do you want to give her a bit of grass? There we go. Just hold it out, arm's length. Look at that. You fed baby Jara. Good girl.
Today's been fabulous. It's just been so fun. And being up close to the elephants was just amazing. Never done anything like that in my life.
So despite all the hard work and getting coated in poo, Liz and her elephants have a new #1 fan.
Elephants now are my favourite animals, yes. They're just so intelligent and just fabulous.
If you think the rhino looks a bit like a dinosaur, you wouldn't be too far off. They've roamed the earth for over 50 million years. Here at the park, they've got the largest herd of black rhino outside Africa, which makes them essential for the preservation of this endangered species. In 1995, one of these British-born and bred black rhinos was released back into the wild in Africa. Since there's no better place to learn about rhinos, I've gathered together a team of inquisitive children to grill Keeper Stuart Jones. I hope he's up to the challenge.
Do they have teeth?
Do they have teeth? Well, in my pocket here, I have a rhino tooth.
Wow.
Now, this is a tooth that's fallen out of one of our young rhinos. And as you can see, it's got a flat face. And what they do is they put one on top of the other and they rub their food together so they can get their goodness and their nutrients out of it. And unlike you guys, which is stick your teeth under the pillow for the tooth fairy, I've decided that this one's mine.
Can they get sunburnt?
Can rhinos get sunburnt? Well, in the wild, they live in Africa. If they need to actually get out of the sun, what they'll do is they'll go and find some shade. So it's a bit like us being on the beach. We'll have a big umbrella and we'll go and sit under the shade so we don't get sunburned.
Very good. Very sensible rhinos. OK, Sarah.
Can they sweat?
Rhinos can't actually sweat, but what they do is they will roll around in dust and they'll also make themselves wallows, which has got water and mud in, and they'll cover themselves in that, and that'll also protect them from the sun.
What are rhinos' horns made of?
Well, they're actually made of something called keratin, which is skin and hair. It's compacted together, so it's like really, really, really tough. And it forms and keeps growing every single year. What they do in the wild is they will rub it down just to make it nice and pointed, and they use it for defence against other rhinos, and they also use it to dig up roots and shrubs.
There you go. I told you he knows everything. OK, who's next?
Does rhinos have hair on their body?
It has very, very, very tiny bits of hair on its body, OK? But predominantly, a lot of the rhinos have little tufts of hair on their ears. We're not 100% sure what it's for, because some of them do and some of them don't. So they do have hair, but very small amounts of it.
Why do they have a funny shaped top lip?
Right. There's 2 rhinos in Africa. There's a white one and there's a black one. These are the black ones. Now, they use that top lip as a tool for taking leaves and breaking branches off of the trees and shrubs that they obviously eat. That top lip is extremely strong, and it can move around and get in between little bits and bobs. So it's very, very, very useful tool for them to use.
How thick is their skin?
Right, rhinos have reasonably thick skin, as you can tell. They're up to about 15 centimetres in places. So it obviously protects them, A, from the sun, B, from any scratches when they're running through the bush, and obviously if they do find another rhino that they don't like, then it obviously protects them from being hurt there.
Well, Stuart really knows his stuff. Our team are going to have to think up some tougher questions to stump him. But now it's time to find out what Alex is up to.
You wouldn't think a stinky old boot like this was much use to anyone, but Bill, the Siberian lynx, who lives just in there, is rather partial to them. I'm here with Head of Small Cats, Neville Buck. Neville, what does Bill want with this boot?
Well, it's just kind of enrichment. He likes playing with them, basically. So, yeah, it was great fun. It'll keep him occupied for a few days.
OK, so we're going to put it inside the enclosure, then. What are we going to do?
Well, I mean, quite often we'll just throw them in as they are, and he'll just have a great game. But today we've got an extra special treat for him, and we've got some cat wee to put on it. This is from an ocelot. And, well,
I know that ocelots are quite stinky.
At the moment, it's a bit of a popsicle at present, but if you have a smell of that...
Oh, that's disgusting.
And that'll really
smell.
excite him, so I think it's down to you to splash it about a bit and get a bit gooey there.
Should I put it inside the boot, then?
Absolutely, yeah, a bit on the outside,
Just
just splash it all over, really.
Honestly, that smell
Yeah, stick some on the outside there.
Disgusting. I don't want to go anywhere
near
near
don't worry
this
about your
stuff.
fingers.
Oh. So, why will he'll go, obviously, this is going to stink so much, he's going to love it, isn't he? But he's obviously drawn to the scent, then.
Well, cat urine's obviously, it's just attractive to other cats anyway. I mean, a lot of scent marking goes on, and he'll think that there's another animal in his territory, so he'll come down and investigate it.
Well, I'm certainly not drawn to it, Neville. Shall we put it in?
Yeah, we'll get Rich to come round,
Rich.
and
Yep.
Rich will pop it in there for him.
So you're going in with you. Good luck.
Yeah, cheers.
Keep it well away from your nose.
I will.
Oh, and here's Bill. He's come right over to see us. He's pretty friendly, or is that a hissing noise?
Yeah, he's a bit grumpy, really. I think if you get too close, he'll throw himself at the wire and try his best to maul you, I think.
So is it best to kind of keep well back?
Well, he's not too bad, I mean, because he can't actually get his feet through the wire, so he can't get hold of you, so he's not really too bad.
He's such a beautiful lynx. Whereabouts is he from?
Well, he's a Siberian lynx, so he's obviously from around those regions, kind of Russia, Eastern Europe.
Oh, he's rubbing himself on that boot. Rather him than me, I must say, but look at that.
Just really a way of stimulating them and making it more exciting for them, really, because obviously in a captive environment they haven't got the space that they would normally have to run around in. They haven't got all the other objects that they would come across in the wild. They don't have to hunt for their own food, so we've really just got to make it a bit more exciting and make sure that they are occupied for most of their time.
Well, Neville, I've heard of Puss in Boots in the pantomime, but that is the real thing. Fantastic.
Beautiful ivory-tipped horns, an extraordinary stripy coat and a very nervous disposition are all attributes of the largest forest antelope in the world. If you were lucky enough to see one in the wild, you would have just met a bongo. These curious creatures live so deep in the forest that no one knew they existed until 150 years ago. Keeper Joel Bunce is lucky enough to work with these notoriously timid animals every day.
You know they're so wild, really, but we're able to go in with them and have contact with them, and it's that feeling that you're just there with something completely wild.
Bongos come from Central and West Africa and are difficult to spot, partly thanks to their markings. All bongos have between 12 and 14 stripes on them, which act as a perfect camouflage in the dense rainforest where they live. Once, bongos were believed to have magical powers, enabling them to turn invisible and were actually feared by locals. But sadly, this is no longer the case, and they have since been hunted mercilessly by man.
There's good girls.
Joel has a herd of 5 bongos, which he feeds every day.
They're arguably the most beautiful antelope there is. The large ears, some might say, makes them look a bit odd.
But bongos won't mind being teased for their massive ears, as their incredible hearing is the key to them evading most predators. Their magnificent coats also reveal a surprising feature.
The hair is actually quite waxy in texture. It leaves the wax on your fingers when you stroke them. They're not colour fast, which means when it rains, this chestnut colour actually runs. It doesn't mean that they go white, but it just means that the rain comes off coloured. Sometimes it almost looks as though they're bleeding. There's good girls. Come on, then.
The bongos are getting a treat for breakfast today, so that Joel can watch them eat and check that they are all in good health.
There's good girls. We're looking for really anything obvious. Cuts, wounds, any lameness, you know, limping. They have a couple of funny habits. They sometimes drink each other's wee. We're not entirely sure why.
Now that the female bongos are out in the park, Joel is going to let out Raphael, the male. Male bongos are very solitary animals and are also much bigger and more powerful than the females, with horns growing up to 1 metre in length. So Joel has to be careful with him.
Obviously, the horns, although they're not particularly sharp on the ends, with a bit of force, they could do some damage. You stay there, big lad. It's just nice to see them as almost a family and watch them grow up, have kids. There's always something going on with our bongo herd. You know, it's just a nice herd to watch.
The parks are home to over 900 animals, but at the moment I'm off to see one in particular, the grand old lady of the monkey house. Simon, who's this?
This is Tamale, the Diana monkey. She's one of our older residents at the zoo.
Really, how old is she?
She's 33 years old this year.
And how old would they live to in the wild?
Well, in the wild, they'd be lucky to live till about 15 to 20 years old.
Really? That is amazing. That's twice as old as they'd lived in the wild. Gosh, you are a grand old lady, aren't you? And she's making these fantastic noises.
Yeah, they're just greeting noises. Because we can do them back to her as well. You can whistle to her and she'll whistle back to you. It's just a greeting happy noise.
Hello. Oh, that's very cute. So I brought the comb along. We're going to do a bit of grooming, apparently. Is that right?
Yeah, as you can see by her back and her general condition, she's got matted fur on her back. She won't actually let us take that fur off, and she's not in with another monkey at the moment, so she can't be groomed.
Right.
So we're going to try a little bit of grooming ourselves, and hopefully she might even groom us as well. It's all a social sort of
thing. If I give you the comb, then you can see if she'll come over and play.
Tamale, come on. Come on.
Well, is she always on her own?
No, she has got a partner, Fagin, but because he steals all the food, we have him shut off at the moment to put him on a diet and to make sure that she's getting enough food.
Right, and would Fagin normally groom her?
He doesn't actually get on that well with her, so he doesn't groom her either. So this is why we have to come in and do it. So we're in a position to actually check her over and make sure that she's all right.
In the wild, would they live in large groups, small groups, in isolation?
In the wild, they live in quite big groups, of up to about 30 monkeys. It'd be like one male and many females and all their offspring.
Really? And there would be a lot of grooming within that group?
Yeah, there always is with primates. It's a major part of their social, structure is the grooming and who's grooming who to indicate who's higher up in the hierarchy and everything.
Tamara is already looking more beautiful, and she's ready for her close-up. There's no doubt that she's a natural in front of the camera. But her chatter, whistling and hopping are more than just an act to captivate her audience. They're also her way of saying thank you for the combing and the company. Just wait till she finds out there are more treats in store. I bought a very special treat. What have I got in here?
Well, we've got sort of a nutritional paste that we want to give her to make sure that it gives her lots of extra sort of vitamins and minerals and stuff. As she is so old, it's great for her. If you just put a little bit on the spoon and offer it to her.
OK, here you are, darling. 33, and in her long life, has she been a successful breeding monkey?
She's been incredibly successful. Even at the moment, across the road from us, we actually have her son and all her grandsons in there. And then she's actually had lots of other kids that have been sent around all over the world.
Really? She's loving this, isn't she?
Yeah.
So why do we have to give her this?
It's just to help her with her weight and everything. It's a way of getting an extra amount of food into her that she does really like.
Yeah, she does like it, doesn't she? She absolutely loves it. Well, you enjoy that, sweetheart. It's very nice to meet you.
The ostrich is the largest bird on Earth. A fully grown male can stand up to 2 meters tall. That's huge, even bigger than the tallest door in your house. With their big eyes, long neck and legs, they might seem a bit bizarre. But on the African plains, these features give them just the edge they need to spot predators from afar. I'm here with Head of Section Bob Saville, and this is Minnie, the ostrich, who's pecking Bob as we speak. We're giving her a bit of bread, but what would she eat in the wild?
No, normally they'd eat seeds, leaves, grass and things like that. We just give them a little bit of bread.
Ooh, what's she doing with her wings like that?
Yes, she's presenting. She's basically saying...
Would you like to present the show? Ow! So why is she presenting?
She's presenting herself, she's displaying really for a male.
That beak is quite powerful.
Oh, yes.
And is that because she's wanting to mate, or, you know, why is she doing that?
If there was a spare male out here, she would be mating now and laying eggs and starting a nest. But because both of our males we've got are in charge of nests at the moment, they're preoccupied doing that. She's basically by herself.
Well, she's now displaying at the Land Rover. We've got loads more animal action coming up. Still to come on today's programme.
Scabby the tiger is getting worse. Will she live to celebrate her 18th birthday?
1, 2, 3.
I meet the animal that has a snorkel for a nose.
And what's an animal intelligent enough to learn sign language doing with its finger stuck in a bottle?
What's the cow's favourite city? New York City.
What's the crocodile's favourite game? Snap. How do you get a mouse to smile? Say cheese.
After 10 days and 140 tablets, Scabby is still no better. In fact, she's looking worse. Since finding a lump on her back, keepers have now discovered a second lump on her ribs. The situation is serious, and head keeper Jim Vassy has called back wildlife vet Sabine to take another look.
As you know, she's been on antibiotics for the last 10 days or so. I mean, the biggest concern really is that they're not, she's not responding to the treatment.
Yeah.
So obviously a bit more concerned that it might be worse than first thought.
2 tigers have already died of cancer at the park recently, so the head keeper has good reason to be anxious.
Hi, sweetheart. How are you doing? Huh? Hello. Hello. As you can see, she's got 2 lumps on her back, and she's got some claw marks from the male. So we need to investigate what this is.
But to examine her, Sabine will need to knock Scabby out. This is a risky procedure for a house cat, let alone a tiger. Typically, vets calculate the amount of drugs to use based on the animal's weight, but no one's weighed Scabby for years, since it's nearly impossible to get a wide-awake tiger onto the scales. So Sabine will have to judge her weight by sight. If she gets it wrong, Scabby might never wake up again.
The biggest danger is obviously, either overdosing her on drugs or, her age probably does come into it, a little bit. Because she is 18 next week, so, the average age here of a tiger is about 20, so she is getting near, the end of her life.
Now, when the dart hits the tiger. This goes into the tiger, the plastic nipple moves backward, and the air, the compressed air in the back here, will drive a lever forward, and it injects the drug into the animal. And if so, we have a flying syringe.
It's always a concern, darting animals. You know, we try and avoid it as much as possible. A lot of the animals here have been here all the time I've been here. They were, you know, she was born here 18 years ago when I was here, and yeah, I mean, family, isn't they? You know, that's how we look upon them.
This is a blowpipe, what we call a blowpipe. You can have them at different lengths. And we're going to stick the dart into here. This is the mouthpiece. You stuff it down a little bit and make sure we got a little air room. And then I'm just going to put my mouth onto it and blow very hard, and then the syringe comes flying out to hit the tiger.
Sabine aims the dart at Scabby's buttock. This is the best place because it's the largest area of muscle and furthest away from her vital organs.
Went off nicely.
The team waits for the sedative to take effect.
She'll start to get drowsy and go to sleep and dream of chasing deer across the plains of India. If she's lucky, maybe catching one.
Before they can examine Scabby, it's vital to make sure she is totally unconscious.
Just give her a second. She's twitching quite a bit.
She's still got movement in her ears and everything.
If Sabine hasn't guessed her weight correctly, Scabby could be only partially sedated. If she wakes up early, she could rip the team to shreds while they examine her. To test that she's out cold, the keepers use a rake that she's accustomed to seeing every day.
Right, we've got a fair bit of arm movement there. A little bit of jaw juddering. Good girl.
So far, so good. Scabby might be gentle normally, but no wild animal enjoys being examined. The team stands on alert while Sabine enters the cage. But what will she discover? We'll return later to find out.
Most of the animals in the wildlife park are born and bred here. And while they often live longer than their wild-born brothers and sisters, they also find themselves with more time on their hands, since they don't need to hunt or forage for food or spend all their time worrying about being eaten by a predator. One of the biggest challenges keepers face is how to make life more interesting for the animals. Nowhere is that more important than with the gorillas.
I've come down to the gorilla enclosure and I've been asked to bring a big bag of plastic bottles. This is Keepers, Lorna Wanless and Dave Seaman. You two, why have I bought these for you guys?
Well, we're just doing some enrichment for the gorillas, and we just put different bits of food in the bottom.
Oh, I see.
And then they have to shake it and try and get it out. So it just keeps them busy, really.
Oh, great. Well, can I get stuck in and give you a hand?
Yeah, sure. Some bottles there.
Now, you called it enrichment. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, it just, you know, it's very easy just to give gorillas some food and them to eat it, and it'd be gone in sort of a few minutes.
Yes.
So we're constantly just thinking of different ideas and things that we can make them work a bit for their food, so it lasts longer and uses their head rather than just sort of, you know, eating it straight away. So
bit of fun and entertainment and some food as a reward as well.
Yeah, definitely. And we do different things. Sometimes we put them on the roof, sometimes we put them in the enclosure, different size bottles and various things.
Very good. Now, we've got these gorillas behind us. He's a big boy, isn't he? Who's that?
Yeah, this is Kijo.
Yeah.
He's the silverback in this group. He's the first gorilla born at Howlett's.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's been anticipating.
How old is he?
He's 30 now.
Yeah,
coming up to 30, yeah.
Is that quite old for a gorilla?
Fairly, for a silverback. Normally 40 would be a good age, 40,
Right.
45 in captivity for a silverback.
And a
So he's getting
silverback, is that because he's got this sort of grey shoulders?
Yes, he's because he's back silver, which all adult males have a silverback.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's quite distinguished, really.
Yeah, he's magnificent. We've got some other little monkeys in there with them as well. Why are they in there? And who are they?
This is Mr. and Mrs. Marley.
Yeah.
They're anticipating the bottles as well.
All right. What sort of monkeys are they?
They're spot-nosed Grenons.
Right, because of that distinctive white spot on their nose, I suppose.
Exactly,
Fantastic. Dawn, I just noticed Kijo was pushing straw through towards us. Why is he doing that?
Yeah, they do it as sort of an exchange thing. Sort of, I'll give you something and you give me something back, and because he can see us doing all these, he sort of wants something, so I'm just going to give him a few, few bits and pieces.
Will he eat that with the shell and everything? A couple of walnuts there.
Yeah, they just break the shell with their teeth and take the nut out of the middle, as you can see. And some of them actually chew the shell as well.
Did they? He's making short work of that. See, that was a fair exchange for a handful of straw, wasn't
it? Yeah, exactly, yeah. Sometimes you get lots of other things, but...
Straw's not the only thing that he would push through there, then?
No, sometimes you get, yoghurt pots from when they've had the yoghurts in, or sometimes bits of poo that they think are that we would be quite interested in having.
So you get a bit of poo and he gets a nice tasty nut.
Yeah, there's something wrong somewhere, isn't there?
So, how are the gorillas going to get into this? Will they break it open or tip them out?
Well, they all have their own various techniques.
Yeah?
Some of them do sit there for quite a while and, try and shake the bits out and do it bit by bit.
Yes.
Others are quite impatient and just sort of, rip the bottoms open quite quickly. So, they all have their different little techniques, really.
Very clever. And there's no worry about the plastic, and that's all safe, is it, for them? Will they eat that as well, or...?
No, they generally don't. They perhaps chew it a little bit, but they wouldn't eat it. We do have to be careful that the lids come off, the lid, the screw lid at the top.
Oh, yes.
So that gets taken off, and also the little rim that's sometimes left, all that needs to come off.
OK.
But, yeah, that's generally no harm to them at all.
Fantastic. And I've got a nut here. I see you've stuffed some nuts into the top to sort of jam them in. That's not the stopper.
Yeah,
that's just make it even more difficult.
It's a lot more difficult for us to get in. It takes them about a few minutes, well, not a few seconds to get it out.
Excellent. Well, we'll finish up preparing our bottles and join us later, because we're going to take these up onto the roof where we're going to be feeding them by hand. Don't miss it.
Back at the tiger house, the wildlife vet has sedated Scabby the tiger to find out if the lumps on her side are cancerous. Things are tense, since even the gentlest of Indian tigers can become man-eaters when ill or threatened, and no one is really sure how Scabby will react to being sedated.
She's twitching quite a bit.
She's still got movement in her ears and everything.
Some movement is normal, but the team need to work quickly and keep a close eye on her.
On 3. 1, 2, 3.
Whenever any animal is unconscious, keepers take the opportunity to give them a complete health check, starting with Scabby's weight.
Yeah, it's 133.5 kilograms.
133 kilos? That's as much as 2 grown men.
You check the claws in the meantime.
Checking them.
Tigers have 18 claws, 10 at the front and 8 at the back. They are retractable and can be as much as 10 centimetres in length. That's up to 12 times longer than the claws on your house cat.
Are we checking teeth and that all?
Yes, please.
Check out those teeth. Tigers have the longest canine teeth of any cat. They can grow as long as 9 centimetres, which is as long as your parents' fingers. While the keepers give Scabby a checkup, wildlife vet Sabine can finally get a closer look at her lumps. First, the original lump she thought was an infected cut.
Well, this is healing up nicely. It's just, you can feel that scar here. You want to feel it?
Yeah.
There's hardly any fluids anymore.
Anything you need to do for that?
No.
It's good news. The lump on her back is just an infected cut, and the antibiotics seem to be fixing it.
No, I'm just concerned about this other lump on the side here. I think it's a broken rib.
A broken rib, yeah?
Yes.
You
can feel it.
And it seems that Scabby has broken something.
Properly, because when we can't restrain them, then it can sort of move. We just got to keep watching that, make sure that she's not in pain.
Examination over. Sabine gives Scabby drugs to wake her up. But how will they treat her broken rib?
Well, as human beings, you get taped up very tightly for a certain amount of weeks until your ribs have a chance of healing back. With the tigers, we couldn't do that because they would just eat that stuff.
Pain-wise, she probably isn't in any pain at all now. So a good result for us, because it means we don't have to do anything else to her. So she can You know, once she comes around, she can carry on her life as normal. She'll be around to celebrate her birthday next week.
Alex is on her way to see a mysterious animal which likes to sleep in the water and sports both a trunk and hooves. Can you guess who it could be?
I'm at the hoof stock section with keeper Carl Parker. Carl, who are we preparing this food for?
I'll give you a clue. It's related to the horse and rhino.
The horse and the rhino?
It is, yeah.
No idea. Give me another clue.
Got a built-in snorkel?
A built-in snorkel? Oh, it's an elephant, so an elephant's trunk.
Not an elephant, no.
I just can't guess.
I'll give you another clue. 4 toes on the front and 3 on the back.
I've got absolutely no idea now. Why are we chopping up the food into such small pieces?
Chopping the food up quite small today is because we're about to feed a baby.
Oh, a baby. Yeah. Oh, how exciting. Well, can we go and meet it now?
Yeah, sure.
OK. Yeah. Wow, Carl, what are these animals? They're amazing.
Well, these are actually Malayan tapirs.
So they're from Malaysia?
Yep, from Malaysia, yep.
And so this is Mummy and this is the baby?
Yeah, that's Mum, Ladana, and the baby, Tenji.
Tenji. The baby's just gorgeous, and I can see their little snorkels.
Yeah, they got the little snorkels, yeah, because they're semi-aquatic, so they spend quite a bit of time in water.
Well, can we go and feed them then?
Yeah, of course we can, yeah.
Do you want to go in first? They're quite friendly, though, aren't they?
Yeah,
they're happy for us to go in.
Yeah, they're not too bad.
What kind of food are we giving them today?
But today they've got some bananas and carrots and cabbage and what we call an ungulate nut, which has got vitamins and minerals and maize and all that sort of thing. It's compressed into a small nut, and an apple. So,
and is this a similar sort of food as they would eat in the wild?
No, in the wild they eat round about 80 to 90 different species of plant, leaf plant, and so they eat mainly leaves and shoots and branches and things like that. A lot of the food they actually eat in the wild is quite toxic, so they can manage quite high levels of toxin in their diet, and they get rid of that by eating clay, certain clays in the wild, which bind all the toxins together, and then when they go to poo, it all comes out with the poo.
Lovely. So. The baby's absolutely gorgeous. And she's got such different coat to her mum. Why is that?
When they're first born, they have like spots and stripes, and it's all black, and the stripes and the spots will be white.
And how does that help her in the wild?
It's very good camouflage because it breaks up her silhouette so she doesn't stand out in the wild. When she's running about in the jungle and that, you know, she's very well camouflaged.
It's amazing to think that they're related to horses and rhinos.
Yeah, horses mainly before horses are now over evolution, 10 million years. They've gone from this to the ones that we ride now, basically.
And looking at their feet, I can see they've got 4 toes on the front, 3 on the back.
And 3 on the back, yeah.
There can't be many animals that have that.
No, they're certainly individual like that.
Well, Carl, it's just amazing to meet such a gorgeous baby.
They are.
And I'm sure we'll be following her progress as she grows up throughout the rest of the series.
Brilliant.
Gorillas are yet another endangered species that they're protecting here at the park. For years, experts believed that gorillas were the closest living relatives to humans. And from just one look at their faces, hands and feet, you can see why. Recognise anyone you know? But recent DNA tests have revealed that we humans are actually more closely related to chimpanzees, despite all appearances.
Earlier on, you saw us preparing some bottles full of treats for the gorillas, and we're now right up on the roof above their enclosure. They're all down below us, and we're going to distribute these. This is Lorna and Dave, and so what's the procedure? What should we do next?
Right, well, Dave's going to take a few of the bottles and spread them over the rest of the enclosure. And just so that we don't get a lot of gorillas all trying to fight over one bottle.
Very good idea.
And then we'll concentrate on doing perhaps a few up this end.
Shall we just grab a few out then and stay down here?
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Maybe you can take the whole box if you want.
Yeah, cool.
There you go. 2 or 3?
Okay,
There we
yeah.
go, super.
Thank
All
you.
right, we've got a
Yeah.
gorilla here. Is this a lady?
Yeah, this is Funa.
Hello, Funa.
She's actually really very gentle, so
Is
you can pass
Can
it to
I pass
her.
some?
Yeah, she'd be absolutely fine with you.
She's like a bottle. She's got some treats in it. Look, amazing hands. Straight in for the nuts. I think there's an almond or something in the top there,
Yes,
is it?
it is, yeah.
She...
It takes us ages to get the nut in.
Yeah.
And they normally
She's
take
having
it
a
out
bit of
quite
trouble. Go on, go on. There you go, she's got it. She's got it. Oh, she's fantastically dexterous, isn't she, with her hands?
Yes, very.
And would they investigate things and maybe even use a kind of tools and things like that when they're in the wild?
Yes, there has been quite a lot of tool use, especially in chimpanzees, but gorillas as well. But they do that here. They sometimes, if there's something they can't get, they'll go and get a stick.
Yes.
And then poke the stick in and try and get it out that way. Especially sometimes we put things like honey in the bottles.
Yeah.
And they, get a stick and get the honey out with the stick and things like that.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. And some of them just rip it open. So.
Who's this? This is a little one.
Yeah, this is Shasha.
Hello, Shasha.
She'd be fine as well.
How old's she?
She's 4.
Have it on there, see if she can get it through.
Actually.
Hello, Shasha. 4.5.
Yeah.
And so we have a little look over here. They've all sort of whisked their bottles
yeah,
away. And
they normally take the bottle and run before they get it pinched from somebody else.
Yeah. Oh, there's one down there. That's already completely empty down there.
I think he's coming up for another one, actually.
Oh, hello. There you go. There you go. So this is a little boy, is it, Lorna?
Yes, it is, yeah.
He's a little bit bigger.
It's very nice to see Shasha's having lots of fun with shaking her bottle.
She's not eating much. She's shaking it all over the floor and everyone else is eating it. It really is fascinating to see the different way that they deal with them. This this one here has bitten the bottom clean off.
Yeah.
They've just poured the whole lot straight out.
That's right.
How are you?
That's her technique. And you see Dee here at the bottom there.
Oh, yes.
She's actually bitten her bottle, but now the bottle's squashed. She can't actually get the bits out because she's squashed it. So,
so she's going to be there for a little while longer. And then we've got the little one down here who's got his finger completely jammed in the bottle.
Yeah.
Trying to fish out something that looks like a fig or something. Ah, delicious.
Yeah. So sometimes being too eager doesn't always pay off.
That's right. More haste, less speed.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
But at least it's keeping them entertained for a nice long time.
That's right, and that's the whole, the whole point of us doing it, just to sort of keep them busy, really.
And then when they come in at night, do they? Or for feeds and things?
Yes, they do. They have access inside and outside 24 hours a day, unless we're cleaning. But yeah, they do come in at the night and have an individual bucket feed as well.
Right, and at that point you'll go and clean up all the old bottles and then that big sack I bought will come in handy for the next lot.
That's right, it will.
Fantastic. Well, shall we throw this last one out?
Yeah.
See who gets there first?
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
been absolutely lovely to see them so close. I hope you've enjoyed the entertainment, you lot. Here you go. I'll see if I can drop it down and then one down there can get it. Ah, good catch, good catch.
Back at the tiger house, Scabby's broken rib is on the mend. Both lumps are going down and she's regained her energy, which means that she's fit to celebrate her 18th birthday. The keepers are pulling out all the stops for this one, including making Scabby a special tiger cake. I can't imagine that tigers go in for a lemon drizzle cake, so it's anyone's guess as to what this will be like.
We'll go with layer 1. She'll be this piece. It's all her normal feed. It's what she usually gets anyway. It'll just be in a slightly different style than she's used to. So instead of using cream in the middle of the cake, as usual, we're going to use the chicken breast because I think she'd prefer it. So then we just liberally apply the chicken breasts around the first layer of cake. And then we just need to put the top bit on, which again comes in the form of a nice large steak. And keep the shape. Okay, so to decorate the top, we've just got some little strips of fats that we've cut. A little bit of fat's not too bad for her at all, but we generally try not to give them too much because it can make them ill if they have too much. So, but this little bit here is not going to hurt her at all. And there you have it, one tiger's birthday cake.
The cake looks a little less than scrumptious to me, but I'm sure it'll suit the birthday girl just fine.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Scabby. Happy birthday to you. Woo!
Oh, here she goes.
Oh. She's taking it away to go and eat it out of view. Unfortunately, that's all we've got time for today.
But don't worry, because there's plenty more fun and games coming up on the next Roar.
Matt's going to grab some DNA off a tiger, if he'll let him.
Whoa. I've heard that there's a cheeky chappie who's always up for a tussle at the gorilla house.
And the rhinos are ready to rumble.
Come on, boys.